again, I absolutely love this topic. During when COVID, I'll tell you a little back end story, how these webinars got written. When COVID started, I sit in the sales seat and I was thinking, well, I'm not going to really sell to people right now. It doesn't seem right because everybody, is having a hard time. So instead of spending that time doing sales, Ashley and I have been in a mastermind group for the last 9 years. We do a massive amount of education on everything from marketing, sales, operations, finances. And so we've done so much training that during COVID, I decided to have a give back attitude, and I wrote about 25 different webinars. I think I spent about 10 hours on each one, writing them about all the things that we've learned through how we've educated ourselves through our mastermind group. I also read a ton of books. So my goal is at least 25 a year, if not 26. And some of them I read about all different topics: sales, marketing, operations, finances. It's all 4 of those buckets need to be working to really grow your business successfully. So let's get started here. This webinar is how to handle common sales objections. Just do a little housekeeping first. If you have any questions during the presentation, type them into the chat box and we will answer them at the end of the presentation during the Q&A. Now, I do have Natalie here with us. She will be also monitoring the chat box. If you have any technical problems, definitely send her a message. She'll help you out the best she can. When you put things into the chat, she'll be monitoring that, but I'll be answering them at the end during the Q&A. You've probably heard, that's too expensive. That's more than we were expecting to pay. I just don't have time right now. Let me think about it. Like, that's definitely an objection right there. Not responding, like Gail said, that's also an objection. Prospects typically have objections during the sales process. Always, they do have objections. Identifying and handling these objections properly can lead to more sales. So think about it, like if you identify it and handle it, like a lot of objections aren't even spoken. They might be just thinking it. Can lead to more sales. So hopefully, like, my goal is that from everything that I'm going to teach you today, my goal is that you guys learn, you learn how to handle objections, and even just identifying those objections earlier on, super important. If you haven't been to one of our webinars, I'm Debra Scarpa from Home Designer Marketing. We help interior designers transform their brands to get found online, win their dream clients, work smarter by streamlining their processes, right? Our team guides your business to success with custom branding, logos, websites, local SEO, social media, email marketing, and improving processes. We totally transform your online brand to get your ideal clients, to get found. We also have Natalie, like I said, on our team here with us today. She is a rock star. She is great at, she's a project manager, so she helps manage our projects. So this course is approved by NKBA. So Natalie will be putting in chat all the information you need. We'll also be sending out all the information with the recording, along with a certificate for those that do need to report it as CEU credits. So you'll need the title, the instructor, delivery method, how many credits it's worth. Today's agenda, sales objections. We're going to talk about having the right mindset. A lot of times when people think of sales, they kind of cringe and they think, oh, sales, right? I want you to have that right mindset. I'm going to talk about types of sales objections, handling the objections, communicating your value in your marketing, tips for creating a sales process, how to realign the sale, and reasons a sale might fail. I mean, maybe you don't want the sale. Possible. Maybe it's not a good fit. Maybe they're not an ideal client. Maybe that's okay. You know, Natalie is also going to put in the chat you know, to sign up for the free brand website and SEO audit. So she'll put that in the chat in a moment. And then if you haven't taken advantage of that, definitely take advantage of that. I go through your website and your online brand, see if it's positioned correctly, do some SEO audits to see, you know, is it doing what you, is it going to do what you want it to do? So have the right mindset. This is super important. And I'm super passionate about it. I'll tell you a backstory is, like, for many years, I never had to sell. I was trained as a graphic designer. I worked for an amazing designer and learned a ton. I won a lot of awards for big companies like Apple, Intel. Like, people just hired me for, they just knew about me and hired me. I didn't have to sell, right? As I grew my team and wanted to grow my business, then all of a sudden I'm in the sales seat, right? Just because, you know, maybe as a business owner, like, sales wasn't really your superpower. You're a designer, maybe that's your superpower, but you're finding yourself in the sales seat. So I actually have done a massive amount of sales training myself over the years. I did sales training with several of my mentors in my mastermind group, read a ton of books, and I'm super passionate about today's information, mostly because it was something that I struggled with for a lot of years, and the tools that I learned have been super helpful to me. So that's why I want to share them with you. Maybe make your journey to learning how to sell better shorter than mine was. That would be great. So first, having the right mindset. High value selling is helping the right person make the right decision for the right reasons, even if it's not you. This is super important. In fact, I just had a conversation today with somebody who signed up for one of my audits, and I was asking them questions to see, I wasn't sure, like, do they want a full shopping cart on their site, you know, with multiple items, you know, that should be built on a different like website builder than what we offer. I mean, a few items are okay, but if you're going to do 100 items or so, it would be better off somewhere else. Well, maybe they're not the right fit. That's okay. If you get people that come to you and they want a style that maybe you really don't like, or they want to do like a full kitchen and you don't really like doing kitchens, they're not a good fit, right? And that's okay. You're trying to figure out, think about like during the sales process, they're interviewing you. You're also interviewing them to see if they are a good fit. Having the right mindset. Sales is not about getting the most money, proving you are right. If you're arguing with somebody, they're definitely not a good fit. Like, you shouldn't be arguing or trying to convince somebody of something. Like, that's not, you should be sitting at the same side of the table as them, not like on the other side, trying to like convince them or prove that you're right. That is not what you want sales to be about. Offering discounts, pushing like special pricing, taking advantage of somebody. Like, that is like, people kind of cringe because they think of sales as like, you know, a used car salesman or something. That is not the mindset you want. Those are not the things that you want. Obviously, like, you need to have your business profitable. That is different than what I'm saying here, right? I'm talking about like taking advantage of people. That is not what sales is about. Sales is about helping people achieve their goals, helping people solve their problems, offering your value. Like, you guys are amazing designers. People cannot do that themselves. Like, you're trained designers. You're offering value. That is what you want to communicate. That is what you're selling. And you need to sell for enough that you need to keep you and your business sustainable. Like, what I mean by that is, if you're not charging enough to, you know, put some in savings for a rainy day, if you're not saving enough to pay you and your team, if you're not saving enough to, you know, provide the quality of the service that you know that they need, then you're not doing them or you a favor. You need to make sure that you're charging enough so you can pay yourself to stay in business. That is super important. Otherwise, when they come back in a couple of years and want something else, like, if you're not keeping yourself sustainable, you're not going to be in business. What you create and what you allow is what you get as a leader. I love this statement. In fact, there's this book, Boundaries for Leaders by Harry Cloud. That's what he talks about. What you create and what you allow is what you get as a leader. So I think that is like just something to really think about. Like, it's your business, right? You can create what you want to create. You can allow what you want to allow, but what you create and what you allow is what you're going to get. That's what you're going to get as a return, whether it's like the products you're offering, your team, you know, who you hire, who you use, what you allow. It's all important. So I want you to think about having a sales mindset. I know I used this would be your a project you did before and after. For us, it's like a website before and after. Think about when people always say well, you have to have the right mindset for sales or you have to have a positive mindset. How do you actually implement that, right? I'm going to give you some tips on how I personally changed my mindset to be positive about sales and really understand. I had to really reach deep to understand the value that I was offering. And that's where I see some people getting stuck. So I want you to think about how much you're helping your clients. So I want to before they start working with you, and then after, the before and after, and think about the change, the transformation. Think about how they feel in the room or whatever you're designing for them, right? In the space, how are they feeling? How did they feel before? How did they feel after? Were they really frustrated because they didn't have enough storage or the functionality or the layout, that they were really frustrated, or it didn't make them happy, it didn't make them feel good? And then afterwards, they just love being in that space because it makes them feel so good after a hard day at work, or they love entertaining in that space and they feel really proud and good about their home, right? That after. So I want you to really think about your before and after, and how your clients feel before and after. That's going to really help you understand the problems that you're solving for them. Are you updating the look and feel? Are you making the space more functional? Just think about how they feel. You're selling an emotional, they're buying from you because they want it to look and function better. Sales mindset. I want you to think about your company, your team, your culture, your skills. Years ago for sales, I was thinking more of, people are always you have to have a positive mindset. Well, I've realized over the years that having trust in our services, in our team, our company, our culture, think about what amazing product and customer experience you're providing to somebody. And I want you to think about that when you're selling. I'm thinking about our team and how amazing they are. When I'm thinking of helping somebody and I'm having a sales conversation, I'm thinking about the transformation that they're going to have is going to be amazing. I'm going to think about the team that we've built that has all A+ players that are amazing, right? Natalie's on board here. She's an amazing project manager. We just love having her on the team, right? Culture, it's a really big deal to have a positive culture. If you want to have, think about if everybody on your team is really positive, problem solves really well together, instead of blaming and getting mad at people, it's going to be a much better experience for your client, right? If your team is Like if you have a lot of skills and your team is has really high quality like skills, think about all of that when you're thinking about selling and helping somebody. Don't just think about your skills. Think about the end product that you're selling. Think about your whole team. Think about your culture. Think about your, could be even like subcontractors or, other vendors that you're using. That is part of what you have built. That is part of your team, your culture, your skills. Like, think about how amazing that is. If you're not comfortable with your services or your team or your culture or your skills, you need to work on that. So you feel good about that, and you know that you're providing your customers with those. I also want you to think about, for your sales mindset, think about your process, right? Having a process, lean into that when you're having a sales conversation. I want you to think about like your process and how that builds like a really positive user experience. I'll use an example. We have like a really unusual process for doing logo designs, where I'm the logo designer, work on it for a couple of weeks, and we have a 2-hour meeting with the client. And I actually make changes to the logo right there live in the meeting. Super unusual. I don't really know any other designers doing it, right? So that is a really positive, like I've gotten so much feedback about how that's a positive like user experience, right? So think about your process and think about, are people getting frustrated? Are they happy through the process? Do you not have a set process? And so somebody starts to maybe not have trust in the results because they're getting nervous about it. So think about how your process can provide a better user experience, get consistent results, build trust, and even a guarantee. Like if you've done enough projects and you have a really tight process, like I know with that logo that I'm designing that that I can guarantee they're going to be in love with that logo at the end, because I know like 98% of the people are in love with the logo in that 2-hour meeting. If they aren't, I have a process for figuring out like how to get on track and make sure that they are still, I can guarantee they're going to be in love with that end result. When we're doing a website design, we have multiple checkpoints that can guarantee that they're going to be happy with the results. Like we're not just delivering a website, right? We have checkpoints, checking in with them, making sure that we're going down the right path. So I can guarantee they're going to be in love with the results. We're just not like delivering something that they've never seen, right? That would be kind of scary. So all these things I want you to think about. It'll make you feel really confident and have the right mindset when you're going into a sales meeting. If your processes aren't set and you're feeling scattered and it's going to be hard to communicate what you're offering because you don't have like set services, set processes, or you're not getting consistent results, that's going to affect your mindset when you go into that sales meeting. It really is. When you talk about types of sales objections. So types of sales objections. Cost. I love everything, but your price is too high. Trust. Can you show me other projects like mine? Exactly. I know we've all had that. Can you show me another project exactly like mine? Like you've already designed it, right? When you're doing like custom solutions. Time. Call me back in a few months. We're too busy right now. Or a time objection could be, hey, I want to start tomorrow and you're booked up for a couple of months. Need and product fit. I was really looking for something else. I wanted a different design style. You know, I want like something different that you're not. I want kitchens and you don't do kitchens, right? That's a need, product fit. Some of these objections, like I said, you might handle. Some of them, they just might not be a good fit. Authority. I need to talk to my spouse, right? Maybe you don't have the decision makers in the meeting and you're not talking to the decision maker. What you're selling is emotional. Your prospects have a dream and they need to really believe you're the best one to deliver it. If you don't have that right mindset and you don't have the confidence and you're not believing that you're the best one to deliver it, they're not going to believe it either. So I wanted to spend some time on that mindset because it is super important. And, you know, a lot of people, like I said, talk about having a positive mindset, but not like actually how to build it. What are the steps to building that mindset? So really think about the services, the transformation, the, you know, your team, your company, your team, you know, and also your processes, and thinking about all those three, thinking about each, you know, each part of those. Are you super confident in each part? Are you like, you know, really happy with those results you're getting? If so, that's going to give you a really like so much confidence when you're selling. That's going to really make a huge difference. I can't emphasize that enough. And if you look at all those things, then like I said, you're not confident in those areas, you need to work on improving those. Like work on your business to improve those buckets. Cost objection. Sounds great, but we just can't afford your solution. Maybe that's the case, maybe not. You know, people buy all the time things that maybe they can't afford, right? If they looked at your website, your work, and they're like, wow, I am in love with this person. Think about all the times you've gone shopping and you bought something more than you can afford. Right? Obviously, you don't want to take advantage of somebody, but people buy things all the time that's a little bit above what they think. I mean, you need to make sure that what you're selling, you're making enough to keep your business like in business. You know, if you're trying to cut corners and sell things for, you know, you're not making a profit, you're going to be out of business, and that's not going to help anybody. So there's a balance there. Price is one of the most common sales objections that businesses get. So it's definitely one of the most objections. When a prospect gives you a cost objection, it typically is because you haven't communicated the true value of what you're trying to sell. So it is like you need to communicate a lot of objections. If you communicate, like if you handle the objection, it could before it becomes an objection. Like if you're communicating all the value you're offering, then it's going to make sense that it's going to cost more. If you're not communicating all the value that you're offering, people are going to expect to pay less, right? Like at the very beginning, I had the website, the before and after. You would assume, like, you would probably assume, you would perceive that the first website that was before was maybe they were doing it as a hobby, where the one after looked more like they do larger projects. It looks like you would assume you were going to pay that company more than the other one. So if your prospect sees the value, they typically will find the money to buy it. Maybe. I mean, it might be an objection that you can't handle, but it might, there's going to be people that still are going to buy. Handling cost objections. So think about in your first meeting, just a couple tips here in the first meeting. Like after you've talked about like what problems that you they are looking to solve, and some solutions to how you're going to work with them to solve it, you can discuss some price ranges, right? Like if they want a kitchen, a low, like your smaller package, medium package, higher package. Like maybe the higher package is your like dream client where it's like full custom everything. And the smaller package is, I don't know, you're taking them shopping, right? I'm just kind of making that up. But like, let's say their investment is having that, like discussing that price range, having something like a slide deck or something that has like a sheet or, that has like your price ranges, then you can have a conversation around, for this investment, this is what you get. For this investment, this is what you get. And I can help identify where they're at, because sometimes, maybe what they want is in the biggest bucket and their investment is in the smallest, right? And it's a disconnect, like they're not being realistic about what it's going to take to, to actually deliver what they want. So in that first meeting, like have that discussion so you can figure out, like, are they possibly a client or not? Because if not, maybe you don't want to waste more time, unless you think maybe in the future. I personally always like to give somebody, even if they're not going to work with us, I like to give somebody like some value, some ideas, a few tips. So website, communicate the value, your products and services. So on your website, by communicating the value your products and services are offering, like that can help handle cost objections. Track your time and cost so you know the true value of what you're selling. If you're not tracking your time and cost, you really don't know, like it's going to make you feel not as confident in selling. So by tracking your time and cost, you're going to know exactly, like you're going to know that you can't, offer something for much less, because then you're going to be losing money and then you're not going to be in business. So proposal, offer them price and payment options. That could be like something you offer, if they, by price options, I mean, like maybe they want to invest less. Well, maybe we do like less rooms. It doesn't mean that you give them a discount. It means you do less work. Sale, confirm the results you are going to deliver with them, that will meet their expectations. So really make sure that you're both on the same page. One working like on projects, start making a list of all the value you are delivering to clients. So really think about all that value you're offering them. And so you can have a lot of confidence when you are selling. It also can help you put together your processes. Here's sell from the same side of the table. You know, my mentor, Jonathan, would always say this, sell from the same side of the table. You're not taking advantage of somebody. You're helping them reach their goals. You're selling from the same side of the table. What is going to benefit them the most? That's how, when I'm like, I sit in the sales seat, and I always think like, what is going to benefit? What is the best solution for them? And I'm looking at it like, even if it's not us that is the solution, sell from the same side of the table. You're going to be so much happier if you're taking on clients that are the right fit for you. Like, I don't want to sell to somebody that's not a good fit for us, because it's not going to be a good fit for them. It's not going to be a good fit for us. So you really want to make sure you're interviewing that person and really make sure that it's a good fit for both people. So trust objection. We've done this before and we were not happy with the results. Absolutely. It's definitely hard. I had a conversation with somebody today who, like, I always feel super bad when I do an audit and somebody wasted a whole bunch of money with some other company, right? And they didn't get the results. And it's kind of a like hard conversation, but you know, and it's hard for them to trust somebody new when they've had a bad experience. So obviously you can't do anything about their bad experience that they had. This has to do more with them than you. Let them know you are sorry that they had a bad experience. And I personally go through our process and to talk about like what we do to prevent, like why we do it differently, how we do it differently, get more information about what went wrong, and share the processes you have in place to prevent that problem from happening again. So that's super important. You know, what is your process? How do you avoid that happening? You know, and I've always like, my thoughts are for years, when something goes wrong, like, how can you learn from it? How can you implement better processes so that doesn't happen again? I mean, and that's really how you build a business that has better processes, quality control, and sharing those processes can help handle that trust objection. The larger the investment, the more complex the sale is, the more trust you have to build. So sometimes when I'm talking to people, I'll ask them about like, what is the total investment somebody is going to be making when they're doing a project, right? So if it's like, 500,000 or, 100,000 or, $5,000, right? Like if they're making a large investment, they're trusting you for not just the amount that they're paying you, but they're trusting you for the whole, project. So you really need to look professional online to get those better projects. If you're looking like, let's say your website is looking like you're doing it as a hobby, right? You're going to have a hard time. You're going to get more of these trust objections. If you look like you're really professional, right? And it's more than just like your website. Are you are you returning calls? Are you showing up looking professional? Are you showing up on time? You know, all those things can help build trust. Handling trust objections, social proof, actively generate like online reviews, definitely like Google reviews, and not just having, oh, I like so-and-so, you know, but a little bit more about the project is definitely going to be helpful. So website, include high quality images of your projects, include awards, media, testimonial, your process, presentations, include your process, like in that process, knowing that you have a process and you've done it over and over definitely builds trust, because if you're doing it custom every time and don't have a process, you know, you could do a custom solution, but not have a custom process. Like your process should be nailed down. Maybe your solution, like all our websites are different, but our process we bring through people through is consistent every time. That is going to guarantee that we deliver really great results, is because we have that process nailed down. Having multiple interactions builds trust. Do what you say you are going to do. So like having multiple interactions, think about if you just meet somebody one time for half an hour, you're not going to trust them as much as if you've met with them like 10 times. I'm not saying you have to meet with somebody 10 times in order for them to buy from you, but I just wanted you to understand that point, right? And then proposal, make the design and user experience professional. So, you know, how professional is your proposal? That can also, you know, the more professional you and your brand are when you're interacting with that prospect during that sales, you know, during those sales conversations, the more you're handling those trust objections. So don't assume that your company or your experience, you know, will speak for itself. So you just really want to work on those trust objections. So continuous follow-up is key in order to catch prospects at the right time. So, you know, maybe they love your services. Like I talk to people all the time. They love our services, but it's just not the right time for whatever reason, right? Stay in front of them. Staying in front of them will help. You know, people are super busy. I mean, they might, when they are ready, they might forget about you. I know you don't want to think that. You want them to think, oh, they're going to think of me as number one when they're ready to move forward. Well, maybe they did forget about you. Like you need to stay continually follow up with them. And if you can't, you know, you can set up some automations to do some of that work. If you're so busy and it's hard to like have time to follow up with people. Time objections. I don't have time right now. It's often difficult to tell whether a prospect is not interested or they really need time to collect more information in order to feel comfortable about moving forward. There's different types of people. I'm definitely somebody who makes decisions really fast. My husband, he likes to take his time, right? So there's no right and wrong. There's just different types of people. So really need to think about like, does the person just really need more time to process? Are they somebody who makes decisions quickly? Sometimes you can identify that beforehand, like if they're a business owner, or if they're like a high-end manager, or have like, a high-end executive, they're probably a fast decision maker, because they need to make a lot of decisions every day in order to like get a lot done, right? So think about like that. What type of person are they? What type of career do they have? Are they somebody that maybe makes fast decisions, or somebody that is not? Time objection at the beginning of the sale typically is an excuse, whereas later on, it might be because they're overwhelmed. Two, like if you have too many options and it's too confusing during the sales process, somebody's just going to shut down. They're going to be like, oh, I'm overwhelmed. I just can't even move forward. I can't think. So having like set services, set processes is going to also help this time objection. Keep them on your calendar, even if it's a few months out. So, most of us don't have time to follow up with people a million times, right? So, if they are really interested, see if you can get them to book a meeting with you, even if it's 2-3 months out. Can I just check in with you? I know we're both busy. Can we get something on the calendar? First meeting, ask when they are planning on moving forward, right? You don't want to go all the way to doing all this work on a proposal and then find out that, oh, they're looking to do it next year, right? Like maybe it's a different conversation you need to have them if they're like wanting it next year versus if they're ready now. Talk about how much time will be required of them, because maybe they're super busy with other things and they don't have time. That could be an objection. Sales, ask questions to understand why they think it will be easier to do it later. And that's something about sales, is like somebody might give you an objection, or maybe you don't understand the objection. Definitely feel free to ask more questions, get more clarity on what the real problem is. If you ask more questions, they're probably going to let you know what is going on. Then you could actually really, handle it a little better. They may need time to do research, ask questions to further understand their needs, and offer, help, right? Ask questions to get the real objection. Yeah, ask questions. Try to do a little bit of a deep dive. I know sometimes it's a little uncomfortable to do a little bit of a deep dive, but just nicely ask them, and why are you thinking right now isn't a good time? Do you have something coming up? Oh, I have visitors coming. I don't know, have a big event. I'm super busy with a work project. Could be a million different ones. Keep asking questions and let them talk. So need and product objection. So that isn't exactly what I was looking for. If you're getting a lot of these objections, you might be targeting the wrong type of projects, or your services might not be solving your target audience's problem. Is what you're selling a good fit for the people you're talking to? Align your services and products with your prospects' needs by having multiple conversations with them. Even if it isn't a good fit, like asking them more questions, clarifying what are they really looking for? Is that a problem that you really want to solve, or is it not? So confirm you are selling what your product prospects want and need, right? It's super important. So you're not spending all this time and energy trying to sell them something that's a wrong fit. You're wanting to do super high-end work, but you're talking to people who, don't make that much. That's a like wrong product for the wrong like type of client. Handling need and product objections. So social media and online ads, communicating the value of your services and products in your messaging on your website. Include details about the quality of your offer, FAQs, your processes, and what you do differently than others in your content. So something I see all the time is, there'll be on a website photos of the work, but there won't be any copywriting about like what that is. I know you guys are doing like a massive amount of work delivering an amazing product that needs to be communicated. Solution presentation. Confirm you have addressed their needs before you discuss costs. Like, are we making sure that we're solving the problem that you want solved? And making sure that it's just not you that is like, you might think, oh yeah, they have a huge problem. If they are not interested in solving the problem, they won't move forward. They have to be convinced they want to solve the problem and this is how they want to solve it. Your prospect will not know the value of your offer unless you're communicating it. You need to communicate it. Dig deep to really understand their concern. Like, is it the cost, need, time, offer? Like, dig deep, ask more questions. Authority objections. I need to speak to my spouse. Did you not have all the decision makers in that sales meeting? Super important. I find that I know I go over so much, it's impossible for somebody else to communicate all that value to somebody else. Like, you're going over, these are big projects. I would say that, if you meet with somebody and their spouse isn't there, to definitely schedule to say, we need to have a meeting, with the spouse, because you don't want to get way down the road or present. A lot of times people will say, oh, well, I'm in charge of the whole thing. And then when it comes down to the finances, the spouse needs to approve it. So, it's really important that all the decision makers attend that. If it's not the first meeting, the second meeting, but you need to get them involved. Ask if they have a spouse or anyone else that should be in the meeting. If necessary, reschedule. Don't be afraid to reschedule or book another meeting. Handling authority objections. It's very common for people to have different processes for making decisions. Listen and ask questions to really understand each person's needs. For example, quality might be more important to one person, while cost might be important to another. If possible, overcome unspoken or spoken sales objections before they happen. So I know Gail at the beginning talked about some unspoken, like somebody not responding. That's definitely like unspoken objection. If it's like a one-time thing, I wouldn't worry about it. If you're definitely seeing a pattern, then I would say there's probably a problem there. Like, you need to, maybe get somebody to look over, talk to about your sales process, see what isn't working, see what you can improve. Communicate your value in your marketing, the quality of products that you're going to use, your unique process, if you're going to manage the project, your experience, that you're going to help them navigate all the details of the project. What are you going to what value, how are you going to help them? And then tips for creating a sales process. So practice active listening, be on that same side of the table, repeat back what you hear, validate your prospects' concerns. Like it's going to be, possibly a big project. I'm sure they're going to have concerns. Ask follow-up questions, leverage social proof. Social proof is like Google reviews. Set a specific date and time to follow up, schedule a meeting. Anticipate sales objections. Sales objections are always going to be there. So, it's about identifying them and handling them. And working on, okay, I'm getting the sales objection consistently. Let's unpack that. Are there ways I can handle it? Or the ways, or maybe not. Maybe that's not my ideal client. Maybe I need to filter out those people. Make it easy for someone to have a conversation with you. If it is too hard to have a conversation, people are not going to, it doesn't have to be in person, like free consultation. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like a 15-minute phone call to see if it's a good fit. And how to realign the sale. Tell them a story with possible outcomes. Discuss in detail all the different parts of the project, so they feel more comfortable. And, if they're not wanting to schedule that next meeting, it is a warning sign that they might not just want to move forward. Maybe they don't want to hurt your feelings or something. You could, ask them a question, I understand you don't want to schedule a next meeting, what's holding you back? I don't know. They'll probably answer, oh, I'm interviewing 2 other companies. Oh, that's good to know. Maybe I should talk a little bit about why we're different. Don't be afraid to ask more questions. Reasons sales might fail. Lack of perceived value. Lack of perceived urgency. Perception of like, maybe somebody else is better. Parties disagree. Lack of funds could be a real objection. Personal issues with you. Offer, your company, already working with somebody else. Perception that it's safer to do nothing. Like maybe that's a good option, maybe it's not. Sometimes people think it's safer to not do anything, but that's not always the safer route. All right, so again, I'm Debra Scarpa from Home Designer Marketing. I know we went through a massive amount. Thank you so much for sticking with me. Natalie put that, link to the free brand website and SEO audit. I sure hope that this was helpful to you. I'm gonna answer any questions that you have in the Q&A. Again, sales was not my superpower, but I've grown to love sales because I love helping people. And really, sales is about helping others and sitting on that same side of the table, helping them achieve their goals that they can't achieve without you, right? So, let me know what your thoughts are. And thank you, Teresa, for talking about the live logo process. I love doing it with other designers. I think it's super fun. You're welcome, Darcy, and excellent, Gail. I hope that this information helps all you guys in sales, and I mean, the reason I wrote this webinar was really like, I'm super passionate about helping you guys any way we possibly can. And if you don't have like, you know, if your sales isn't working for you, you're not going to get to do the beautiful work that you want to do. And you're not going to stay in business. Like marketing, as my mentor Jonathan would say, marketing and sales are the drivers. You need those two things to be working in order to stay in business and grow. You know, to get to that next level, those things have to be working. If they're not working, if your marketing isn't working, your website looks like you're doing it as a hobby, you know, you're not going to get as many leads, you're not going to be able to have as many conversations, and then, you know, you're not going to close and get those projects that you want. So it's definitely, you know, we call them like a leading lagging indicator, right? The more marketing activities you do, even if it's you pounding on the pavement, you need to be doing something. Calls, like following up with old clients, like you need to be doing something. You need to look professional online. You need to be having conversations with people and, you know, all the tips, and then, you know, closing those sales so you can get the projects you want, and, you know, pricing it correctly, tracking your time so you can stay in business and keep doing beautiful work. So that's the whole thing. All right. Thank you so much for joining. I know we went a little bit over. Thank you so much. Have a great day, you guys.